Hey folks, welcome to my lifting series where I perform each and every day of a particular program. I'm performing my Hypertrophy 1.0 program, the first public program that I have ever created. Today is actually the last day of the program. Now the program is meant to be ran in perpetuity if you so desire, but for all intents and purposes for me, I'm just running it for one cycle. And today's week 4, day 6, so we're pretty much done. We just got to get through this. And then I'm going to, create like an overview video, reflection video, and then we're going to move on to a bigger and better program, hopefully. Anyways, today I'm starting off with the leg press. I'm going up 10 pounds, and I just wanted to discuss something really quickly before I get into my first set. And that's that I was really questioning whether I wanted to go up on the leg press because we're already adding an additional set. So we're going from 3 sets to 4 this week. But I decided that the leg press, it kind of feels, here's the way I view it. The leg press kind of feels like whenever you make a jump, it should be a large jump. And that's just because people tend to throw around such enormous amounts of weight when they're leg pressing. Like some people, they're doing upwards of 800 to like 1,200 pounds, easy schmeezy. You know what I mean? So it just seems like, oh, the increments that you go up should be in 90 pounds. You should add a 45 on each side every time you go up. But that's just not the case, in my opinion. I feel like you should treat it like any other lift where incremental progress is the best way to go. Because if you're just jumping from one weight to another, you're not really giving your tendons and your muscles time to adapt. It may cause like more issues than benefits. So, I was debating just going up like 50 pounds, 25s on each side, but then I decided, nah, let's not do that. And actually, wait, I misspoke. We're going up 20 pounds, not 10. So a little bit of a bigger jump, but still, I think it is like 10 pounds. I think that's appropriate for an increase on the leg press instead of going up, 90 pounds or something crazy. Like I feel like people are tempted to do just because it just makes sense it just feels right to throw on plates on the leg press and not like smaller incremental weights. So anyway, um, I'm gonna at least hit 10. I know that for sure because I hit 10 every time last time. So if I hit 10 again on these sets, not only will we be going up on a set by set basis, but we're also adding another set on top of what we did last time. So no matter which way you swing it, as long as I don't just fail miserably on these sets, we're going to be making some progressive overload gains. Anyway, let's get into the first one. Okay, I hit 12 there. I feel like maybe I could have gotten like another rep or two, but I feel like that was an RPE of around 8, which is pretty good, especially considering that we're doing 4 sets of these. So I think that was totally successful. We're also doing 4 sets on the barbell Romanian deadlift, so we're getting a lot of like solid heavy hitter leg training volume in. So you know what? I'm happy with that, and especially since there was 20 pound increase plus 2 rep increase. So if you think about it, we're going up like quite a substantial amount because the way I like to calculate volume is sets times reps times weight. So if I don't know it off the top of my head, but if I were to do with calculations, we're getting some tonnage in excess. I mentioned it last time, but the lower your feet are on the leg press, I received a comment about this. Thank you very much. The lower your feet are on the actual leg press, like pad here, the more quadriceps you're going to be using. And that's just because your limbs are going to be more stacked, and it's going to be easier to enact knee extension when your limbs are stacked like this, versus if you're higher up, then you're forcing more glutes and stuff and less quad. So just something to think about when you're doing your leg presses. What are you trying to get out of it? You know, do you need more glute growth and stuff, or do you just want to focus on the quads? For me, it's more about quads because we're going to be doing RDLs for the glutes and hamstrings next. There's nothing like a good leg press burn, you know. This and the knee extension exercise, the quad extension, they're just two movements that produce a wicked burn. Maybe it's just quad movements in general, you know. Maybe it's just those are like my weaknesses. Because every time I do like a quad focused movement, the burn is sensational. It's crazy. Well, I don't think that it's as important to like do the Valsalva maneuver while performing something like a leg press. I still think that it is rather important because I find, at least for myself, when I perform it, if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically taking like 2 deep breaths and then crunching down on your stomach to increase the intra-abdominal pressure that you can create, and it helps stabilize your thoracic and lumbar spine, and you know, helps you produce force output throughout your core, and stave off injury risk. Anyway, I think that it's like essential when you're doing something like a back squat or deadlift, because those movements really rely on using your core to a large degree. Something like a leg press, you're more locked into place, so you're not using your core nearly as much. But I don't know what it is. I find that it still helps a lot. I mean, powerlifters still use it on things like the bench press. You know what I mean? Like, they're using it on all of their lifts for a reason. It's because when you're lifting heavy loads, heavy weights, there's really no downside to be using it. It's only going to increase the amount of force output and strength that you can produce as a result. So I just thought I'd mention that. If you guys see me breathing in really heavily from time to time, that's the reason. Okay, set number 3. Almost done with this lift. Enough. Honestly, I've had a very long day, so I'm just kind of matching the reps that I got on the first set, which probably isn't ideal, but I'm letting myself get away with it since it's the very end of the program. What was I going to say? Oh, regarding the Valsalva maneuver. There's some people that would say, hey, don't breathe that way when you're doing a lot of reps, because the Valsalva maneuver lends itself perfectly to lower repetition sets, just by nature of you got to like keep the intra-abdominal pressure for each powerful rep that you're performing. And it's difficult to keep it throughout a set because you gotta stop and pause and take another breath every few reps max. And yeah, I totally agree. Like on certain lifts, you don't need the Valsalva maneuver. You know, like say you're doing a tricep push down. There's no point to use it for that exercise unless you're like maxing out on it or something, you know, because that's just more of a squeeze and stretch, really like bodybuilder feeling the muscle work type of exercise. So with that, like I think however you're breathing is going to be fine because it's a single joint, smaller exercise. So it's like, you know, just breathe in whichever way you feel the most comfortable, in my opinion. But you know, with something like a compound lifts where you're using many different muscle groups and it's really requiring a lot out of you, I think doing the Valsalva maneuver is going to be your best friend. You know, I think if you're not doing that, you're probably leaving a lot of force output on the table. And you know, if you're not giving it at least close to your all, at least like a solid try and a good effort on each set, then you're probably not going to be triggering enough stimulus for growth. That's just the way that I view it, honestly. You know, even if you're going to the gym and you're not even going anywhere close to failure, I still believe that you are doing something. You know, your body's not going to just be like, oh, you know, he just lifted you know, for 2 hours and you know, even though none of his sets were to failure, you know, it doesn't matter. We're just going to say, oh, no adaptations, no response. That's just not true. You know, your body, this is stress on your body, and your body is going to respond according to the stress that you place upon it. You know, marathon runners, Ironman runners, whatever, like they're skinny as a byproduct of the type of exercise that they're doing. They're doing long distance running and stuff. And therefore, your body doesn't want to hold on to a lot of muscle and a lot of fat. It wants to be as lightweight and nimble as it possibly can so that you can make it those long distances without too much of an issue. Well, you know, bodybuilders and powerlifters, they're super big and strong because that's the type of training that they're doing. They're doing training that triggers that causes muscle damage and then triggers a hypertrophy response in order to try and not be damaged the next time that you train it. You know what I mean? It's a mechanism to be better prepared next time you put it under those loads. So, you know, whatever stimulus you do, your body's going to respond accordingly. So even if you don't go to failure, you're not going to be gaining size out of it, but you'll be getting something out of it. You know, you'll be getting some strength, you'll be getting some conditioning in some facet, in some regard. Okay, I think that was a long enough rest period. Let's get into the fourth and final set of this particular lift. Okay, guys, that was a definite burn. Let's get into the major posterior chain compound lift, the barbell RDL. All right, guys, I'm now sufficiently warmed up for the barbell Romanian deadlift. I'm sticking to the same weight this time because we're going up from 3 to 4 sets. And also, I don't know if you guys are the same as me, but when I go at like a different time of day than I'm normally used to, everything just feels super out of whack. Like usually I go in the early afternoon at least like a couple hours after waking up. That's just when I feel strongest. Some guys, they can go like first thing in the morning and feel super strong. Some ladies too, obviously. Some people, they feel best at night. For me, this is like, after lunch ish, it's kind of like it's 5 p.m. So it's pretty much dinner time. But this is before I've actually done my, had my dinner. Obviously, I'm gonna eat right after. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. I feel like certain times of day I'm stronger. I think it has to do with your core body temperature. I heard something about that. I haven't looked into it too much though. Anyway, we're going for at least 10 repetitions. If I don't get 10, I won't be too distraught because last time I was particularly feeling strong on this. And I mean, we already did pretty well on the leg press. Already got a win. Okay, well, I ended up getting 10, so I'm happy with that. It felt slightly rushed. Today, the weights are feeling really heavy, and my grip strength was not feeling really fully there. I think that once you start to hit like a fatigue threshold, I think that your grip is pretty much the first thing to go. I think how strong your grip is feeling is a good indicator of overall like nervous system recovery. And right now it's feeling a little bit down in the ditches, so to speak. So I think that this deload is welcomed, even though, God, I hate taking off time from the gym because I do genuinely love training. And honestly, like I have body dysmorphia in the sense of if I take a week off, I feel like I'm losing muscle, even though that's completely false. It takes at least 2 weeks before your body even starts breaking down muscle in most cases. So you're definitely fine for taking off a week. In fact, it's probably going to help. But that being said, I still hate doing it. I just love training. So I may just take off like a few days and that may be enough for me. I think that a good proxy to tell if you need time off, and I actually heard this on a podcast, but they're saying that like your desire to train is a good indicator of like, are you recovering properly or not? Because if your desire to train goes down, then that may be an indicator that you need a little bit of a break because your body is just fed up. And honestly, my body is kind of starting to feel that way. No, we're talking about the Valsalva maneuver a lot when I was doing leg press. And of course, I use that maneuver while doing RDLs like this. And I especially wear a belt because that just increases the intra-abdominal pressure when you do the maneuver because you can brace against the belt instead of just bracing at, your abdominal wall. So adding in this extra layer creates even more pressure and thus more stability throughout the lift. So you can increase the weights even more. Like if I weren't using this belt, I mean, I'd at least be down 20 pounds. That's 20 pounds, which would accrue into more volume, which would be more hypertrophic. You know what I mean? So if I were to remove the belt, lose 20 pounds, I'm losing, hundreds of loads probably. So it's something to keep in mind. And from the data that I've seen, it seems like, the argument against belt wearers is, oh, you're not working your abs as much during the lift. You're still working your abs to the same degree, from what I understand. I could be wrong. Sometimes things are proven true and they're proven false like a year down the line. So, but I'm like 99% sure that you get the same abdominal stimulus out of wearing a belt as you would not wearing a belt. So if a belt can allow me to do more weight and still give me the same abdominal stimulus, why wouldn't I wear a belt? Okay, we got another 10, so that's 3 for 10. So we basically mimicked last workout's volume. Luckily, we got one more set on this one, for better for worse, So we're going to be getting in a surplus of volume for this last day of Hypertrophy 1.0. All right, guys, last set number 4. Let's get it. And the rest of the workout is going to be much easier, I predict. All right. Let's take it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now on to the quad extension exercise. I like to kind of stagger my quad and hamstring lift. So I kind of go like back and forth. So like today we started with the leg press, and then we did the barbell remaining deadlift. And now I'm on to the leg extension for some like single joint isolation work. Anyway, so like if I were to start with the barbell RDL and then go to the leg press, then I would surely go to the prone hamstring curl ideally, So I'm kind of like going back and forth between quad and hamstring. And I like doing that just because while you're doing one exercise, you're letting the other muscle group rest. So versus like if you were to do leg extension and then go straight into leg press, then you wouldn't be giving that muscle group much time to rest in between the stimulus. So I think that by staggering it like that, you're actually getting more out of your lifting sessions. Anyway, I'm going up 5 pounds, so we're up to 140 on this. I'm going to go for 12 repetitions again for 3 sets. Okay, there you have it. All right, set number 2, guys. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really gripping onto the handlebars here and then really flattening my back as much as I can. And I have the seat as far back as it can possibly go. Because the further away your torso is from your knees, the more of a stretch you're going to be enacting on the quadriceps. And whenever we can derive a way to stretch, we absolutely should, because it can result in 10 to 15% more overall growth. So just by doing that simple shift, if you're up here, then you're not getting a stretch on the quads. You're instead getting it more on the hamstrings. And then when you're back here, you're getting less on the hamstrings, more on the quads. All right, that's gonna do it for our primary isolation movement for the quadriceps. Now I think we're gonna try and get some prone hamstring curls, and then finish off with calves. All right, I'm gonna perform the standing calf raise machine next. I'm actually going up 5 pounds, so I'm going from 85 to an approximate 90 pounds. Actually, definite 90 pounds. It's calibrated, so doing 90 pounds. We're doing 5 sets and then 5 sets of the other calf raise machine for a total of 10. And then we did 10 last week, on day 3 of this week. So that's a total of 20 sets for my calves. And, we're doing 20 sets for every body part this week, but calves have been feeling the most, in my opinion. Like, I was just walking around today and my calves were just burnt the heck up. Like, they were destroyed. Which is a good thing, because I think that calves can take it. There's, out of all the muscle groups that can take that type of volume, I think calves are number one, because, calves are constantly having to support our body weight just walking around. Something that the other muscle groups don't have to bear. Okay, I actually got 12 there. I wasn't even expecting that. I was more so just thinking that we'd get 10, but even if you guys set like a repetition goal for yourselves, try not to stop at that repetition mark. And I'm guilty of doing this all the time. It's something that I'm constantly trying to fix, or at least remind myself of, because oftentimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I did 10 last time, let's just get 10 and then we'll call it good, because, oh, that's enough, right? Well, you get stronger, like eventually you're going to get stronger. And if you're still staying at that same exact repetition range or repetition mark with the same amount of weight, then how are you going to make progress? How is your body gonna know to adapt? You know what I mean? It's not. You're not gonna make any progress. Okay, 12 once again. All right, guys, that concludes the standing calf raise machine. Next up, we're gonna do, it's kind of like half standing calf raise machine. We're gonna finish off with that, 5 sets of that for a total of 10. All right, I'm opting to go up 10 pounds on this from 180 to 190 pounds. I think I could totally handle it for even for 5 sets. I think I can handle it. I know you guys you don't really have the best view of this machine. But it's like a half seat that you sit down and you keep your legs straight while your torso is bent. I particularly love this machine, but I'd like to remind you guys that even if you don't have access to like the standing calf raise machine or even this like half standing calf raise machine, it's not the end of the world. You know, anything where you're enacting plantar flexion. So you're just contracting your calf and raising your heel up and down. Any of that is going to be working the calves to their best degree. I mean, your muscles, they only know tension. They don't know, the difference between like a Nautilus machine or a Life Fitness machine or a Matrix machine, or a dumbbell or a barbell or a Smith machine or whatever, it doesn't know the difference. It only knows tension and fatigue and stuff like that. So, even if you just have to do body weight or like hold a rock, you're still going to be getting a great stimulus, is what I'm trying to say, as long as you're taking close to failure. Being said, I do like this machine though, so if you have it, you should try it. You have access to it. Okay, so first set, I got 12 like really strict reps, and then after that I kind of busted out a few forced reps, kind of with sloppy form. I think that with calves, like, that's kind of okay to do. You definitely don't want to be doing sloppy reps for your whole entire set, because that's just how you leave gains on the table, so to speak. I know that's such a cliche saying, but it is kind of true in this sense. And honestly, you don't need much rest in between calf exercise sets, in my opinion, especially when you're doing 10. That time I just got 12, no cheat reps at the end. My tendon is it's feeling a little iffy. I think that it's just a lot of physical activity and a lot of direct calf work. It can definitely kind of mess with it a little bit, but I don't think that this doesn't seem like it's going to be an injury of any sort. It just seems like kind of overuse, which is to be expected when you gradually increase volume and then you were up to 20 sets for each body part. That's a lot of volume, and that's on the upper end of where you can recover from. I think that, if I were to run this for another week or two, I'd be running into recovery issues. Luckily, this is the last week of the program, so. Okay, what was that? 3 sets, all have been 12 solid reps with a 10-pound PR. That's great, and honestly, for this program, especially my calves, I've seen growth. I can tell that there's something going on here, something that I want. I'm definitely reaping some of the rewards of, being so consistent, putting my best foot forward in terms of effort, and just constantly striving to improve. If you got those 3 variables going on each and every day, then you're surely gonna amount to something. You know what I mean? Of course, things outside of the gym matter too, but I haven't really been bad. I haven't been cheating too much. Of course, I like to live a bit, so I'm not super strict about my diet. I just kind of loosely track it. Basically, how I approach my meal plans is I track my protein and then loosely track my calories. So that kind of means like I'll typically eat the same breakfast every day. And then I have like 2 double-decker protein shakes every day. And then that gets me within like 40 grams of my protein goal. And I'm trying to hit around like 200 or 210 because I try and strive for 1 gram per pound of body weight. And then, you know, my dinner is up in the air. It changes every night. I just try and eat something that has a lot of protein in it and it's rather filling. And that usually gets me to where I need to be in a surplus of calories. Today, it was a little bit different than your typical day, but my protein goals are definitely going to be hit. So, and I think that that's the most important part. There's 2 most important parts, and that's hit your protein goal, and then number 2, hit your caloric goal. And I make sure to hit my protein goal every day. And then the caloric goal, I may be under a day, I may eat over a day, but I think that it's all evening out because I'm seeing the scale go up. It may even be going up too fast. You know, I've probably gained like 6 pounds since the start of this. No, between 6 and 10 pounds, which is kind of a lot in my book, but you know, that's fine. Eventually it'll all pan out. Okay, guys, that's gonna do it for what I record. I'm gonna finish off the prone hamstring curls off camera just because of the angle. It's kind of difficult to get in a gym. But that concludes my Hypertrophy 1.0 program. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Again, you guys can download it for free in the description. I don't know if I mentioned that today, but it's free for all of you. No strings attached. You don't even have to download. It's just a Google Docs template that you copy. So if you guys want to run it, then please do so. It obviously works. You know, it worked pretty well for me. So I hope that it works well for you guys. Stay tuned for the next program and the reflection video and me creating the new program and all that jazz. But thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys later.